Ow. Alright, we got a new video on the Cruze today. Car's sitting about 120,000 miles and I'm going to do a coolant flush. It would probably pass what the specified time frame should be for the coolant flush, but this car's been worked on in the past and stuff has already been replaced, so I don't know how many miles are actually on the coolant because it's been swapped out before. But we're going to do that today because also I have a coolant leak I got to take care of, and I'll show you what to do for that to flush your coolant at home, to do a quick fix, maybe not the correct fix, but a good enough fix on the coolant leak I have, and show you other places that could be responsible for leaks if you find yourself kind of slowly losing coolant. But first things first, since the petcock for the radiator is down here in the bottom, I keep mine in my pants. Anyways, so first things first, what we're going to do is we're going to go under here and we got to remove this panel here, and it's held on by a couple of push pins here and right up along the front edge. Where's my finger? Right there, where's my finger? Yeah. All right, those are T15s Torx. And then since someone's worked on my stuff before, I have a Phillips head screw there too, so that won't apply to you. But what we're going to do is I'm going to pull this out and I'll get back to you. Okay, that front air dam thing is kind of removed. I was smuggling a bunch of rocks, so it's probably good to clean it out every once in a while. Alright, so there is your petcock drain plug, whatever you want to call it. I have a hose hooked onto it to try and control it as much as possible. Run down over here to my pan. I'm going to pop it open. Hopefully most of it will flow into there. I may have to stop a few times and dump it out. It's this thing takes about 1.5 gallons of coolant total, so you probably won't get all that out because I'm not running pressure on it, but it's kind of fine, and stuff will be sitting in here, of course. So I'm just going to crack this open. I may need to break it free with a tool. Oh no, that's nice loose on its own. Well, not nice and loose, just not super tight. And a pan right there. It's not really wanting to go down that hose. I'm probably just gonna have to pop the plug out altogether. Oh no, it's flowing out of the hose slowly. Okay, I'm gonna crack open. Right now there's pressure in the system. I'm gonna crack open the reservoir, see if that dumps out a little bit faster. If the plug was out totally, it'd be full bore running, but I don't want that. I want to try and keep control of this as much as possible. There you go. Yeah, okay, we got a nice little smooth flow going on here. So I jacked up the car on the driver's side, not so much because you need to, just because I really need to get room to get out the panels. So as we are draining this out, I'll just go over the areas of where you can have issues with leaks in this car. So commonly you have back here at this top and bottom hoses right here where they connect into the heater core, like the connector goes bad. You have this bypass return line right here that connects, can go bad. Where this bypass ties into, it's the water outlet. It's plastic. They tend to crack and go bad. Mine has already been replaced at one point in time. Can't really see so much, but it's right here. This hose that runs down your thermostat housing right here can sometimes crack and go bad. Let me check that. Okay, it's going, yeah. Can crack and go bad at times. But my issue where I'm having is right here, this line right here on the turbo coolant return line. It's a hard line that ties in right back here. There's like a threaded nipple right here, and then a hard line that ties into the back, comes over, and then it turns into a rubber line that runs from here right to here. Get close enough, you can see right around there a little coolant's been coming out the top, but right here it's a crimped end to where the line goes on there, and they crimp down the metal thing. They fail all the time. If you look how easy this is, see how mine's just sliding. So that's where my issue is coming from. To replace this all together, supposedly you have to, at a minimum, take off the catalytic converter and do it from the bottom to get the whole hardwired piece out. We're going to do it the kind of half-assed way of doing it, and we're just going to remove the rubber line here and replace that with a piece of 5/16 hose, reinforced hose. We're using fuel line, even though it's not really recommended for coolant, but this is kind of a low pressure line, so it's not going to hold more than 50 psi, so it should be okay. I imagine the turbo will go out at some point in time, and at that point in time, when I pull everything off, then I will replace it with the correct one and not have to worry about it. So yeah, you don't have to drain all the coolant when you're doing this to replace this line. I'm doing it obviously because I am already needing to flush this stuff out, but you can just pop this line off, put in a new hose, and then just kind of re-top off the system, and you'll be good to go. But I'm going to let this all drain out now, and I'll get back to you when it is time to change that line. Okay, I end up getting probably a gallon and I don't know, a few ounces out, which is probably pretty good considering it's about 1.4 gallons total when it's completely dry, and plus there's the stuff in the heater core I can't really get out, and it was down a little bit low on coolant, so that's probably pretty good. All right, I'm going to get you set up. I'm going to change out that hose. Okay, so we're going to pop this hose off here. If you're having trouble kind of seeing it compared to your car, normally this heat shield will be sitting right here. So it's just 3 E10 bolts, 2 at the top, 1 at the bottom, to get that out of the way, and you'll need to remove that to be able to get access to this. So we need to pop out this spring clamp and then drag the rest of this hose off. Maybe we'll try the hose first. Guess you should go and say, watch out for your oil cooler line right here. That so you don't get that damaged. There we go, that's popped off there. Oh, I should have put that tray underneath that spot. Figured it'd be all empty by now. There we go. That's off. So as you can see, it's just a slip-on metal fitting, and they just get trashed. We're going to try and save this heat sleeve if we can. If not, I'll just put some new on there later. Okay, so my battery's running low, so I don't know how much you're going to be able to film me doing all of this, so I'm just going to show you. 5/16 fuel line. For pipe clamps, I'm going to cut a piece I need. I'm going to make sure it's not too tight to where it gets kinked up so it doesn't block flow. And I'm going to slide on there, put 2 pipe clamps here, 2 pipe clamps there. Why this was locked on there, not just a piece of hose to begin with, makes no sense, because both of these fittings have a barb on the end to where it should have just been what it is. So I'll do that, and then I'll clean up all this other leaking coolant. And as a side note, this oil cooler line right here, these leak a lot in these cars. So if you find yourself doing this, or you just find yourself an oil leak kind of down this area, it's coming from this side here from the O-rings in it. So just go ahead and change that out super fast. Takes about 5 minutes. All right. Okay, here's what I ended up doing. The fuel line I was trying to use, goddamn wind, was getting crimped up every time I put it on there. I may just need to try another piece in the future, but what I did right now is I took the original line, which didn't seem to be the issue. It seemed to just be the clamps at each end, and I pried off the hydraulic fitting here. I just used a pair of snips and just kind of cut that away. It doesn't appear that I damaged that hose in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying to do this way, but I put the hose back on there, and I just put on standard hose clamps on it, and I'm going to try it like this. And if all else fails, I'll come back, I'll just pop that off, and again replace it with the fuel line with a new section of it that hopefully won't crimp so easy. I think it's probably because I had it a little too long to begin with, and I'll do that. Now I spilled a shit ton of coolant all over everything, so it's going to stink for a while and burn off. But I'm about to start refilling the system. I'm going to drop this off the stand, put everything back together, and then I'll just run you through real quick what you got to do for that. Hey, hi, it's me from the future. So I went through the whole process of filling everything up here and running the car and getting everything done. I thought I fixed the leak. Come to find out, after I got home, when I was driving it the second day and parked it, I came and I saw that on this line right here, look, maybe you'll be able to see kind of close, see those little spots there, and then right up here kind of at the bulge, there's little pinholes in this line, and coolant was bubbling up. This is the engine oil cooler hose if you need it. This is the part number for it. As of the time of me doing this video and replacing this hose is very hard to find. Of course, I was doing this on a Saturday. I noticed this at that point in time. I tried calling the parts department at a local dealership. They were closed. I ordered one from eBay from Arizona. It's supposed to be here in maybe 10 days. Today is now Monday. I called up that dealership. They said they had 2 in stock. Neither of them were there. I called another dealership and they had 1. And it's this one. It looks like this. Okay. It goes right from here off the thermostat housing down, and there's a little spring clamp. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Maybe right, yeah, the spring clamp is right there and connects to a hard line that goes over to the oil cooler. Now it's like 35 bucks or something about there. That's what I paid for eBay. That's what I paid at the actual dealership. There are things on eBay where it's this hose attached to the actual metal hard line that goes in there for like 11 or 12 bucks. I don't think those are probably quality, so you may want to, if you have to do this, try and track this hose down, or I mean, you can take a shot on the other one. I certainly am not going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to replace it with this hose, and now I just got to try and get that spring clamp off there. I took off the intake hose going from the air box, and I got a rag stuck in here to keep anything from going down into the intake into the turbo. I'm thinking I may have to take off this actuator from the turbo. Maybe it's a blow off valve or something like that. Not quite sure, but I think maybe I'm gonna take this off. Looks like it's 2 bolts, C-clip down here in one line, and hopefully that'll give me enough room to get down there and get that spring clamp off. All right, once I replace this, I will do the process that is now coming up for me in the past, showing you how to do it correctly. All right, okay, so update. This has been forever. So I ended up taking that bolt out down here that holds the tube in. I popped the tube out. I cocked the hose on there correctly to match the tube for the way that I took the old one off, and been fighting to get it back into the oil cooler. Hopefully the O-ring's not going to leak now that it just came out. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, because it's just the way this is going. I end up having to pull the whole air box out to be able to get my arm in through here to be able to get in to reattach that bolt and fit my hands in there. I end up having to take a piece of old glove, rip a piece off, stick it in the top of a socket to hold the bolt in so I could actually get it lined up and thread it in. This car was designed by people that have never worked on a car in their life. It is a master class of how not to run things. So just, if you're going to work on these things, make sure you go in it with that understanding. I've got the the car flushing out right now and cycling the coolant through, and this is the hose that came off that ended up being a bigger leak than I thought the other one was. So if you're kind of looking at it the way it sits in the car, you can't really see stuff. But if you actually look at the hose here, it's pretty cracked there, and then right up here, hopefully you can see, I don't know, I can't tell, we're not right there. So probably wasn't that much time left on this hose, so make sure you check this one too when you're checking the rest of your car. Okay, I got everything back together, the air dam and stuff back on the bottom. The car is down and the car needs to be level to do this. So first of all, you need to get Dexcool, GM brand Dexcool. It sucks, it eats all your plastic parts up. That's why all the plastic parts keep breaking and cracking and giving you leaks and all that stuff, but this is what GM decides to use. Whatever. I have the concentrate right here. And what you do is, if you get you can already buy it pre-mixed 50-50, and then you spend about twice as much money. If you get one jug of concentrate and one jug of distilled water, you can mix them together 50-50 and you save, you know, like 50% off. Now, the water needs to be distilled. Why does it need to be distilled? People think that water causes rust. People think that water conducts electricity. Water, pure water, does not do that. It's all the impurities in the water that end up causing the rust and or conducting electricity. So when water is distilled, it boils away. All the water vapor is then captured and all the impurities are left behind. You need to use distilled water or you can rust out your system. Okay, so what we're going to do for this is you have your coolant reservoir up here, put a funnel in it, and then you go over here to the top corner of your radiator. Show you right then. You can see. Okay, there's a hole. Get in here. I'm assuming you guys can see. I can't see a camera. There's a hole right here. Okay, that's your vent hole. In that hole, there's a white nylon plug, 13 millimeters. You're going to pull it out. Keep it right here. You're going to slowly dump coolant into the reservoir through the funnel. You let it go, you let it go, you let it go, you let it cycle through the engine until you start to see it run out of this little drain hole over here. Then you'll plug up the hole, you'll fill the reservoir up to the cold line, and then you go through the process of starting the car up, letting it run on high with the heat on, and let it run through and cycle. Okay, now water is a self-leveling fluid. What that means is that it goes for equilibrium, so it's going to try and even out the water level from one side of the engine to the other side of the engine. That's what's going to come and push all the air out, and hopefully you don't have any air pockets left when you add in the extra bit of water and it gets pressurized. On a side note, which is really cool, if you guys are doing something like building a deck or something outside and you don't have a really long level, what you can do is get a clear hose filled up with water. You hold the one end so that the water level is at whatever height you need on, say, like a post on one side, and then you can go 50, 100, whatever many feet away. It doesn't matter as long as there's enough water into the thing where that water sits at the line on both boards is going to be level, because the water self-equalizes. So if you ever need a nice big level or something like that when you're building, remember that little trick. Okay, so now I'm just going to go start filling this up till the water starts dripping out of there. And I'm going to tighten that up. Then I'm going to top it all up there, and then we'll run through the starting procedure. Okay, it's all filled up. Got the coolant up here to the cold fill line. There's an arrow right here on the side. I think both sides. Yeah, one down there. Down there. So it's pretty easy to find. So what I'm going to do now is take this funnel out and set that out of the way. Okay. Then I'm going to go leave this off for a minute. Going to go into the car, start up, let it run for a good bit, because the car may want to suck down some coolant that's sitting up in here. I'm going to turn the car on, turn on the heat on full blast, and let it run. I'll let this run for about 30-45 seconds, come out here. If the level drops down, I'll add some more to it. If not, I'll put the cap on it, close it up, so we start building up pressure. Okay, I'll get the keys. Alright. Neutral. Doesn't matter what you set it. Roll the window down. So we're gonna let it run. Disregard the check engine light. I saw that my computer connectors were, for whatever reason, popped up the other day. So let this run, and now I'm going to be watching as I do this the temperature gauge and make sure it doesn't get up too high. Okay, let's go back under here. Now we're seeing smoke coming right here. That's because I spilled coolant all over everything. Until that burns off, it's going to be smoking, so don't really pay too much attention to that, I guess. It's fall right now, so I got leaves falling everywhere. Make sure to go out the engine compartment, because if you know anything about the cars, they originally came with a belly pan underneath the engine, but they would catch leaves and cause fire. So first thing they do on recalls in these cars is just cut out the belly pan and kind of ruin your gas mileage that you bought this car for. But it is what it is. Okay. Burning off coolant, burning off coolant. Yeah, that level dropped a little bit. So I'm just going to add a little bit more to get it up to that. Oh no, it's pretty good on this side. I'll do it after it's done bleeding. Okay, so now it's just kind of a waiting game. Okay, here. All right, I'll go ahead and close that up. Our system will now start to pressurize. Make sure you got that nylon nut tightened up enough, but not too much that you break it. Okay? So now what you're supposed to do when the car has been running for a bit to warm up the oil and all that, you're going to kind of sit here for maybe a minute or two and hold the RPM at about 2,000 RPMs. And what that's going to do is try and force more air into the heater core, which I already got hot air blowing out of here, which is good. But we'll do that, and then I'm going to sit here and I'm just going to wait till the gauge comes to where it normally sits. Make sure the thermostat opens, make sure the fans come on, and then when that happens, I'm going to turn the car off, and I'll be back to you at that point in time. All right, so it's been like, I don't know, 5-10 minutes or something, and the temperature is barely cooled, and it is toasty coming out this heat. So the heater core is definitely cleaned out, so I'm just going to turn that off. That's nice and flushed, and now I'm just going to let it run up the temperature. If you come here and look, you can see that the coolant level has dropped down about 3/8 of an inch from the coolant line. So once this runs and runs and runs, and enough to kick on the thermostat and the fans, I will turn it off, and then I'm going to let it cool down, not going to touch anything. When it's totally 100% cold, I know for a fact, then I'll come and I'll open up this reservoir and fill it back up to the cold fill line, and everything should be good to go. Make sure you do not open this up when it's hot, because it can spray out and cook you. Okay, so that's all you need to do to at least flush the system. Hopefully that holds. If not, then I'll do it the correct way and not the way I tried doing it, but hopefully that'll be good to go. I won't know for a few days. And I guess like, comment, subscribe, all that YouTube jazz bullshit, whatever they want, and I'll see you guys next time. Ow. Hi.
Hi.
So you may remember I made a video just a couple weeks ago about flushing the coolant in the Cruze and fixing a couple of leaks. You'll remember if you've seen that video. First of all, if you haven't seen it, I'll link it up here maybe. Now, during that video, you may remember that I said this. What I did right now is I took the original line, which didn't seem to be the issue. It seemed to just be the clamps at each end, and I pried off the hydraulic fitting here. I just used a pair of snips and just kind of cut that away. It doesn't appear that I damaged that hose in any way, shape, or form. I'm not saying to do this way, but I put the hose back on there and I just put on standard hose clamps on it, and I'm going to try it like this. Okay, so turns out that lasted all of about 2 weeks. So as you can see here, the exhaust and turbo is out. You have to take that out to actually change out the stupid line that I was trying to change out. I ordered that line to fix it. Well, actually I went and I bought one. I bought two, and when I took the turbo off, I see that there was all these other lines on the back. So I figured this one was going to be the next one to leak, so I would just go ahead and try and get that and replace it. Of course, no one had it in stock. I priced it out at the dealership, and for all the parts here for the 4 lines, it would have been about 550-ish bucks. But I did find this kit here, and I'll put it on screen here, from O'Reilly's, but it has your oil feed line for the turbo. You have a new metal replacement oil return line, the coolant return line, which is the one that was leaking, and then I think this is the coolant feed line that ties into the back of the block. All of this right here, 106 bucks. So there's that. The biggest issue kind of getting the turbo off was this line here. It just clips in and clips to the block, and I had to use a pry bar and have my wife lift the turbo out while I was popping out, and I don't know if this happened because of it, but I just noticed that. It's a plastic line inside there and it is broken. So I probably broke that, but need to replace anyways before I tried to put it back on there. Steps to taking out the turbo. You have to disconnect the intake from the air box PCV line here, the charge pipe that goes down through the intercooler. There's a vacuum line that goes right here. There's a plug that plugs in here that you pop and snap out the bottom. There's a connector that just pops in here that's holding a wiring harness. There is the wastegate that you take off the turbo, which is 2 bolts and a C-clip at the bottom that hooks onto this lever down here that operates the wastegate inside. You have to take that off. There's a vacuum line that goes to that, and you have to take that off because you need to be able to access these 2 bottom, see right here, these 2 bottom head bolts, or the bolts that go to the head. Well, they're studs, but 7 of mine have come out and turned into nuts, which whatever. The most difficult thing to get done was this cooler line that goes into the back, because it connects into the block right here, and you have to go in between these AC lines to get it out. Here's that line that was giving me all the trouble when I found it the second time I drained the coolant to fix this line. You know, whatever. So you have to take all this out. You don't have to take off the catalytic converter, but I did go underneath and completely remove the 2 nuts that connected to the bracket, so it's kind of loose to give it room to shimmy out. So yeah, I mean, taking apart is kind of a hassle, more or less. I mean, I did it in my driveway. It's probably easier if you have a lift, because I had to jack on one side of the car to slide in and out of there, and did a lot of creative cussing while I was doing it. But that's where we sit now. So when I said I'm not recommending you do this, I'm recommending you don't do what I did last time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch out these lines on the turbo, get that ready to go, pull out all the stuff I have in there blocking up all the holes, and reassemble it. So here we go. All right, all back together. All the new stuff on there, very begrudgingly. This sucks. This is a ridiculous amount of work. I have an open invitation to anybody that was an engineer in this car to meet into a parking lot somewhere, and we can talk about this. But word of advice, if you have to replace this hose, just bite the bullet, yank everything off, and just do it all at once. And now it's time to drop this down and go through the bleeding cycle yet again. All right, like, comment, subscribe. See you next time. Ow. Okay, another Cruze video for you. This is one I've just been kind of like putting off because I don't want to deal with it, but now I think I kind of got to do it. It's more coolant related stuff. I don't know if you'll be able to see here. Right here, you can kind of see the staining on the plastic outlet tee and the hose here. I think it's getting kind of close to one of these things dying. This tee has been replaced before, I think by, I don't know, the dealership when I had some warranty work done at one point in time, because one of the bolts down there is a hex head as opposed to the E10s that there should be. So I'm going to be replacing that. I've got a piece to replace this plastic piece up here. I've got the return hose, no, the outlet hose I guess would be, and the return hose over here, and a thermostat right down there. That's what we're going to be taking care of today. Right now I currently have the coolant draining out. I will link in the cards the video I did of how to drain the coolant and, you know, flush the coolant system out when you're all done doing the work you got to do. But right now we're just going to get these parts done, and then you can go check that out. So let me show you the part numbers. So I got the stuff from ZZP for the thermostat and the water outlet. Thermostat, this is I think it's like a 20-degree cooler thermostat. It's aluminum to get rid of the plastic one. There is a chance that may or may not trip on your check engine light. I think it's just kind of roll the dice, so hopefully we get lucky. Here is the sun right in the way. There is the coolant outlet tee, also from ZZP. Actually, I'm going to put some pictures on here. When I got this, I got a bad casting on the original one, and I sent it to them and they sent me a replacement. Just keep in mind to always check your parts before you start blowing your car apart. Okay, this is the inlet side line, part number there. This is the outlet side hose, part number there. And also have the other hose, but this has already been replaced too, because it's got a different clamp on it. Also, I think done by a dealership. I think I left that inside. I'll get you that part number later. Yeah, other than that, I'm going to kind of get this set up and kind of run you guys through the process. Oh, also, I'm going to disconnect the battery in this one because there's sensor on the outlet, sensor on the thermostat, that we don't want to kind of trip while we do it, and we may have to take off. I'm going to have to take off the charge pipe here to get to one of the hose clamps for one of the heater lines back here. And I'm going to show you this right now. If you can see right down here. Jeez, I need to even get you a flashlight for you to even see that right down there. There, you can see it. There's the hose clamp that connects the hose to the radiator. Right there is the front frame. So you may be asking, why did they put that there like that? Again, they're assholes. So I'll show you a tool that we're going to need for that, to do that later. But right now I'm going to start breaking everything down. All right, I'm going to start on the outlet side here. Disconnect that connector. Of course, the charge pipe can't come off because this hose clamp back here is sitting up at an angle behind the charge pipe, preventing it to come off. we're going to leave that for right now until I get the outlet itself off, and then we'll deal with that hose. I don't need it. That's the thing on the bottom. This is a clip-on connection that pops off. Spray it out of the way, lift it up. Get that out of the way for now. Take off the turbo hose. All right. If yours is still stock, hasn't been touched, there'll be E10 bolts. You can supposedly use a 10 mil on it. I wouldn't. Just get an E10 socket. And these E-bolts are like the inverted Torx bits. Let me see if I can get this hose clamp off. So here you go. I actually got this kit here for hose clamps. Got this at Summit. This big one here, this is what we'll need to get the one down off the bottom. I'm going to see which one of these I can use to kind of get this clamp off up here. Cool thing about this is that they lock down and hold it open so you're not struggling with channel locks or something. Just gonna have to wait till I get this tee out as well. Just on a roll today. There's the plug. It plugs into a temperature sensor at the bottom of the outlet. You just press in, pull it up, get it out of the way, try and keep it dry. There goes my glove. Didn't last long at all. They really screwed me with the position of this goddamn hose clamp. Again, GM engineers, I have a standing invitation to any of you guys that want to meet in the parking lot and discuss this bullshit. Make sure you have lots of carb underneath whatever you're working on. There we go. Charge pipe out. Broke that hose free so it can at least move that clamp around. Alright, this is the biggest mess I've ever made. Okay, it's out of the way. Let's get this one. This is the more difficult side, guys. suppose these pliers are good if you can get the hang of it. Gonna need to scrape all that extra old gasket off of that. It's a rubber O-ring to make sure the new one actually seals. This is aluminum head, so go gently. You see here, see all that? That's old O-ring that's still stuck to the head. There's a little clamp here that holds the charge pipe to the heater hose because, of course, why wouldn't you? At this point in time, you probably would have made a gigantic mess because, of course, so this is going to stink for a while as it burns off all the extra coolant that's spilled. Be careful of your O2 connection right here. Big old mess. Get this hose off. Pretty funky. Jesus Christ, found that hose finally. There's part number. I'll get some compressed air and blow out these threads, the screw holes here, because you don't ever want to have water in some type of thread like this when you're running in a bolt or anything like that, because water is an uncompressible fluid. If you try and put that in there, the water will not compress, and the only thing it will do is crack everything around it. So you want to make sure that those are dry. Try and just get all the coolant and everything off. Areas are working. So if for whatever reason I have a leak, you can at least try and track it down easier. Make sure your main surface is nice and clean. Here's my outlet. Woo, that's hot. It's been sitting in the sun. There's a piece I'm telling you about. I'm going to punch in now. So here is a ZZP brand replacement aluminum water housing. They also sell one at AutoZone. I think it's called a Midazone or something like that. Both of them come with this plastic replacement piece here, which your coolant reservoir will kind of snap onto. The only thing is that this still is plastic, so this will probably at some point in time break and leak all over the place. But I found this dude on Reddit who makes these at home. He kind of fabs these up. It's a replacement piece for that plastic made out of aluminum and a brass nipple thing, and you would cut off the clip that comes on the cable, or not the cable, sorry, the hose from the reservoir, and slide that down, and then use a hose clamp to kind of eliminate anything plastic in the system, because plastic just dies all the time. So he kind of sells these to friends. It's not really a business, but he has made these for the AutoZone Midazone ones, and so I'm kind of checking this to see if this also works on the ZZP one. So we're going to swap this out real quick and see. And this was not provided to me. I did buy this. I'm just kind of helping do a little testing. So we would have to just pop this ring off. Now, if you don't want to do that and replace it, you just use the same plastic piece that comes on this. I'm working on Z here, my workbench of a 84 Z28. Good grief, that's in there. Yes, this is aluminum. I don't want to crack it at all. There we go. Leverage. So this has a single O-ring on here. This one, he sent me a couple spare O-rings right now. He also says that you don't need to use the secondary O-ring if you don't want to, if it's like too terribly tight. I'm gonna pop it on there and try and see, so you can see kind of goes in there. Also, let me compare it to the way this is right now. Okay, that's a tiny little flow hole in the original one. For the overflow, this one's far bigger straight through. That should just slide down in here. It pops right in. That, and just push that clip back on. Tell you what, the clip is the most difficult part of this. I don't think the clip is all the way seated at the moment. I want to not break anything. Hang on. Because yes, this is aluminum, but you know, you can easily crack aluminum if you're not careful. Oops, like that. And I just got the plate paper there to protect it from being scratched up, and there you go, right in there. So that slid right in there, pops right in. At this point in time, you just kind of cut off the connector that would connect to the plastic piece. Use a little standard old school hose clamp and just tie that to that. So this will be the setup I use going forward when I ever make the rest of this video. So this guy, so I should say, the guy's contact information is down in the link of the video. It's just a YouTube name. He used to have a channel that he lost the password and stuff to, and it was too old for YouTube to help him get it back. I think he used to restore old airplanes, so he used to work on airplanes, hopefully not for Boeing, because this could turn out catastrophically from what I hear. But if you're interested in doing this, just check out the link to his channel in the description and message him there, and you can talk to you about everything about getting yourself one. So all right, back to the install. All right, we got our O-ring inserted all the way down in there. Got a new temperature sensor, and this comes with stainless bolts. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, make sure these are the correct bolts. They are. Okay, so stainless steel aluminum head. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of anti-seize and put it on the bolts. Why am I doing that? Because different metals expand at different rates. So you'll have an aluminum head expanding because it's a looser metal, or a softer metal, and you have the stainless steel bolt down here, and as the stainless steel bolt is not expanding, the head is expanding and pushing, and then as it cools down, grabbing and pulling the threads of the stainless steel bolt in there tighter. So we don't want that. We want to make sure that we keep them separate a little bit, which is what anti-seize does, so you can actually get the bolts back out if ever you need to. Hopefully we won't ever have to touch this again. Just a little dab of it. All right. Don't need a ton. Just need something. And just snug these up, triangle pattern. Okay, just like pretty much everything else on this car. 71 inch-pounds. Inch-pounds. I don't know why they didn't just go one more inch-pound to make it, you know, 12 foot-pounds, but whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and do one pass at 50 inch-pounds. Inch. Alright, now go to 71. Okay. It will also be 71 pounds for that thermostat once we get to it. Put that hose back on. I'm putting the clamp down in an area that's not going to get in the way of the charge pipe this time. This is supposed to sit in here somewhere. I have no idea. Mine wasn't connected. I'll reconnect this sensor. Hook up. God damn it. Put that sensor in there upside down. Check the parts, guys. So I pulled this clip out as this was upside down. Rotate the sensor over. Alright, I'll put this clip back on. Alright, that's locked in there. Now I can reconnect the plug. Alright, there's that. Okay. And now let's get this hose off. I have this tool for that. It slides down in there, squeeze it, locks it that way. I don't have any faith that this is going to be easy. Okay. Okay, hose off. I'm leaving that clamp kind of in the location so I can slide the new hose on and then just clamp it in place. Jesus Christ. Ooh. Okay. This is where it was just about to happen. Hang on a second. Trying my best to get you guys to be able to see this. So inside the hose there, right, I can't tell, I'm too blinded here, but right here at the bottom, maybe you'll be able to see it, maybe you won't. Got a directional light here. Maybe you'll be able to see it right there. The hose is coming apart. So this was super close to blowing up and leaving me on the side of the road. I actually knew I needed to kind of do this because when I was topping off the reservoir at one point in time, I saw a bunch of flakes. You see there, right there? Hose is dying. Check your hoses. That way it was up. You're up here, got to find some zip ties, zip tied on here lightly. Oh. Convenient, I had some right there on the ground. I don't want to tighten this down to crush the hose at all. I just want to hold this in place. Okay. Let's slide this in here. I'll go down here through the clamp that I have still left down there on the spring, the pliers here. Slide on. Trying to get some more. I got to open a little more. Slide. Appears to be bottom out there. There's a little line up tab or line up marks on the hose. Put that in place, undo this. Here you go. All right. This tool, get it. They sell just this tool itself where you can get the whole kit. All right, you'll need that for sure. Okay, that. I have this one to put back on. Slide that in place. Slide this over. Line it up. Make sure it's not in the way of oil filter or anything. Lock it on there. All right. And I've got this last little hose here. That will go like this. once you get the hang of these little plier things, it's pretty convenient. Sure that's fully seated. Now let me go get a band-aid for my boo-boo. Okay. Kid shit. Alright. Okay. That. So put the charge pipe on now. Where we can actually fit it in, because I rotated that damn thing around. That's on there. Plug that in. Okay. Okay, so now for this. Normally this would snap over or down into this fitting. These fittings break, so that's why I switched out to this, as you saw earlier. So here, I'm going to cut this plastic off. About straight as a cut as the Olympic opening ceremony. Okay, so that was connected. Hopefully we're not throwing a code because of how much I yanked around this O2 sensor. Charge pipe, that. The temperature wire. That ground is still nice and tight. That's right where that ground is that causes all the trouble. Okay. That's the difficult side. Onto this side over here. All right, over on this side, I'm going to pull the intake hose off. All right, so there's just one hose clamp over here. That goes to the oil cooler line down here on the bottom, and then you have 3 E10 bolts on the thermostat. These hoses here, they just have clips that you pull up to unsnap it. No need. There we go, slides off just like that. There's another one down here. Pull it up. Get that out of there. There we go. That one's out. Inside of this one isn't falling apart like the other one. Okay, got this connector to unplug. Lift up, get that out of the way. Let's just see how we can get a ratchet in there. PCB turbo wire. moved out of the way for a bit. Oh, that's out of the way. Okay. Let me undo this hose clip. Of course, that spills directly over the belt and the AC compressor. The thermostats are also plastic on this car, they crack. It's the same deal with the O-ring. Make sure it's a nice clean surface. This surface has no residue like the other side. If you happen to wonder what this is sitting on, this is your water pump right here. This comes with different bolts. This comes with a hex head, like Allen key style. They're an H5. I'm going to do the same thing with these as I did with the other side and put just a little tiny bit of anti-seize on them. Get them all lined up first. Make sure your O-ring is nice and seated before you put it on there. So I put the hose in there first. All right, just like the outlet, 71 inch pounds. I'm going to do a 50 inch pound pass, and then I'm going to do a 71 inch pound pass. Put this connector on. This is 180 out, but got room. Nope, let me turn that around. Son of a bitch. Okay, I gotta take this off. I just broke a wire on this connector. ZZP, you're killing me with these damn things being all backwards, man. Okay, as you can see, the fucking wire snapped. Let me check and see if I got a soldering gun somewhere. Okay, I couldn't find my soldering iron. I don't know where it is. So I'm going to talk to ZZP about that anyway, since it was 1A out. I had to run to O'Reilly's really quick. There's your part number for stock one. Easy side. Huh. Yeah. Well, this one should not trigger any lights because it's a stock 221 degree, way too hot thermostat. Alright, so put this radiator hose back on. Snaps all the way back, and then the clip will snap down over it to hold it in place. It's on there. On there. All right. PCV kit hose back on there to the turbo. Intake tube. Everything's back together. You see that should have been the easy side had that connector been on there the correct way. It would have already been done. So now I'm just going to go through the, well, I'm going to try and clean off all this coolant everywhere as much as I can, because it's not going to help me try and figure out if there's any leaks or anything like that. There shouldn't be any leaks. We did everything the way it's supposed to be done. It's right here. But yeah, other than that, now I will just go through the process of filling the system up and bleeding all the air out and all that stuff. You can check out the other video. I put the card for it at the beginning. I'll also link it in the description. And I'll even put it at the end in the end cards, just in case. Alright, but other than that, that's how you do this. Try not to break anything. It's fucking annoying. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Ow. Alright guys, today's video, we're back at the front of the Cruze again. This will be the 4th time this year that I am draining the cooling system to replace some shit on this car. Now, the project at hand is the oil cooler. Down there, behind all this. Now, I've already had a couple videos of where I pulled the turbo off and all the stuff to replace all the lines on the turbo. I already had everything out of the way. The oil cooler is right there. I looked at it. I said, you know what? I should probably change this thing right now because they're prone to leaking. But I didn't. Dumbass. So here I am again right now, about to pull off everything off the front of the engine to get to the oil cooler, to swap that out, just to put everything back together, to fill it back up with coolant again. So this video is only going to be about the oil cooler. I'm not showing you how to take off the turbo or the exhaust or anything like that. I'll link my other videos I already did in the description. You can watch those there. I'm not gonna go through all of this. It takes forever to try and position a camera to get a picture to show you everything, and I'm trying to get this done as quick as possible. So with that all being said, I'll just run through real quick what you need to do, everything to get the turbo out. You have intake pipe off, PCV connection to the turbo down here, that's off. You take off this line, you take out the wastegate. Once you take the shield out of the way, yours may or may not even have it on there. You take off this hard line down here that connects to the turbo there. You have a V-clamp here that connects the turbo to the cat. On the bottom side of the cat, there's a triangular flange that has 3 bolts on it that may or may not break if you try and take that off. You have the connector here, right there, plug for the O2 sensor. If you're going to take your cat off, you have this hard line disconnect right here off of the oil cooler that feeds the oil to the turbo. I already unplugged this to get this out of the way. This connects the oil pressure switch on the oil cooler to the thing. You have this coolant line here that connects to the oil cooler itself. You have this coolant line that connects from the oil cooler to the back of the turbo. You have, so I'm going to show you down in here, maybe you can or can't see, you see that little corrugated line right there? Maybe maybe not. Down on the back side there's another coolant line that goes from the back of the turbo, connects to the block. That's the biggest pain in the ass there is on this. On the bottom side of the turbo you have a hard line, which you can probably see from over here because I replaced it with a corrugated one. Yeah, that little metal corrugated line down right there. If you look underneath the thermostat back there, that comes up, and that you can either undo the clip, like lift up on the clip and slide that up out of the block, or there are 2 bolts to the bottom of the turbo that you can try and undo. Also a gigantic pain in the ass load of fun. And then you have what I think is 8 bolts that go around the perimeter edge of the flange on top of the exhaust manifold, and then that comes out, and then you'll be able to look at the oil cooler. So, oh yeah, also your charge pipe at the bottom of the turbo comes off. So with that all being said, when I come back, this is going to be out of the way, and we're going to talk about just about the oil cooler stuff. All right. Okay, and back, as you can see, all the turbo cat and everything's out of the way. There's all the various parts strewn about, all that stuff. So like I said earlier, this is right here. This is what you need to do. If you have an oil cooler that's leaking, when you pull everything off, change all of the lines that go to the turbo right then. You'll have your coolant feed, coolant return to the block. You'll have your oil feed line at the top, and then you have your oil return line down here, which is metal. And all this is a Dorman kit that I got for about $100 at O'Reilly's. Get that. It replaces what was plastic with metal. Hopefully you should be good to go from then on out. Reaching stuff is a bitch. Now with that being said, if you in fact need to replace the lines on your turbo, change the oil cooler while you're right here. It is 3 bolts that hold it on. Plus there's a little bolt here that holds this hard pipe into here. There's an O-ring right here that we're going to replace. I got the part number to show you. And then also at the same time replace this hose. This hose does crack and leak. Right there, you can pause it. There's the part number. It's also, the part number is also shown in the other video where I go about swapping this out. You can buy just the hose, you can buy the whole metal section, comes with the new gasket or whatever, it doesn't matter. So as you can see, it's leaking there, dripping down, getting everything all nasty. So I'm going to spray that with some brake clean, kind of clean that up, get rid of this, and then it'll be these 3 bolts to take out. I'll get that out, and then we'll show you the part numbers. So hang on a second. Actually, what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to keep the camera here now and just go throughout the process of replacing this out, because I'm going to put gloves on. It's a pain in the ass getting the gloves on and off and getting dirty. But so here's your part number. It's the Dorman oil cooler right there. Got it from Rock Auto. Now they do sell these on Amazon, like brands, not the Dorman ones, but other brands, for like 45, 50 bucks. I'm going to go ahead and not recommend doing that. I mean, I'll put a link down there in the description if for whatever reason you want to do that. But the amount of work that goes into this, you don't want to cheap out and then, you know, lose your ass and have to take it all apart again and do it again just because you bought a cheap oil cooler. This is like 100, I think 50 bucks or something at Rock Auto. I had to wait a few days, but I could have got it the same day from O'Reilly's for 325 bucks for the same thing. So keep that in mind. There is the gasket O-ring part number that goes down here. So I'm going to loosen this 1 bolt here, loosen these 3 bolts here. You got to wiggle out the oil cooler because there's a stem that goes into the block. You wiggle that out, and then I'm going to slide this off of here and leave that hose in line. If you want to, you can undo that hose and take it all out as one unit. It's up to you. These are E10 bolts. Well, that's not the E10. They're E10 bolts here. So if you don't have an E10, the E-style Torx bits that are like the reverse Torx sockets sets, if you don't have one of those yet and you're working on a Cruze, man, I don't know how you're doing it. Go ahead and get one. They're nice and cheap from Lowe's. I should say this is going to spill all over the place. Everything spills on here, no matter how much you drain the system. Everything holds on to fluid and all that. So keep this bolt right here. It's going right back off the block there. So there's going to be oil and coolant pissing out of this. I got cardboard everywhere, and I got a catch can down there, and I have a bag over the flex pipe because I don't want to go in the exhaust, and then I have something over here blocking this. Actually, I'm going to put a bag on that so it doesn't soak in too. And that's blocking the oil drain line from the turbo. Okay. Be prepared for this all to stink when it burns off after it's put back together. And that's not an E10, hang on a second. E12 on those. It's an E10 for the little one to the block. All the same bolts, so you don't have to worry about mixing them up. Put them to the side. Like I said earlier, I removed the cable from the oil pressure sensor. So if you didn't do that now. Oil dripping. Boy. Pop that hose out, maybe make it a little easier. That's the O-ring down there. I'm hoping you can see. I can't see where my camera's pointing. That needs to be swapped out. There we go. Spilling everywhere. Luckily, this is a nice and clean job like everything else in this goddamn car. Pop this O-ring off. Put that on there. We'll hit it with a little hint of oil so it slides in. Make sure we don't get too much oil. So we don't want any of that oil going into the coolant. There's a new oil cooler there. So there is a little plug right here. This needs to come out because that's where the oil feed line goes in there. On the back side, you can see that there's these plastic tabs. That is not part of the plug. That is for the anti-drain back valve to keep oil in the line for whenever you start the car up after it's been sitting for a while. So you don't want to take that out. You want to get the plug out the front though. Sometimes you may have to push it slightly from the back down the very center of it, so we'll see. I scratched that. That does not come out. It actually slides back in there and that stays in. See, it pushes back into like that. All right, so take that cap off. Well, here's the little stem that goes in the back. Oil that up a bit. Slide the hose in, line up the stem to the block, wiggle that in, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Just run these down in finger tight, then kind of snug them, and then they get torqued to 15 foot-pounds. Freaking hate pin oaks. They are the pine trees of hardwoods. Pain in the ass. Slightly snug, now leverage, and they're 15 foot-pounds. Get a longer extension. Alright, 15. Okay. So now we need to take the pressure sensor off the old one and move it over here. It's a 24mm socket. And snug it. You don't want to strip out the aluminum. We have this bolt go back. That is the E10. Snug that down. All right, and then you just put everything back together. That is the oil cooler portion. Also, what you want to do is make sure that there's an oil filter in here. Okay, so you will take that off just like you would change your oil. Make sure there's a filter and put it back. If not, you got to put a new filter in it. All right, so that's everything you need to do for just this portion. Like I said, look at the other videos about how to take everything off and then put it all back on. I have linked in the descriptions to see about doing the rest of everything. Do it all at once and save yourself this frustration. All right, so this is the fourth time I had a drain. After I'm done putting this back together, I'm going to change those heater lines because those are the only two remaining hoses that haven't been replaced fresh in the cooling system since I have it drained out and they're up at the top. So that'll be a different video, but right now this is how you change out the oil cooler in your Cruze, and time to put it back together. So all right guys, that's all I got for you today. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. I'll see you next time. Ow. Alright guys, it's the day. I'm filming this video while I'm still in the process of reassembling everything from the oil cooler video. My freaking catalytic converter clamp just broke on me, so I'm getting another one of those picked up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to replace these heater core lines. Got the top one that runs right here, down here to the reservoir. Try not to crack your reservoir, they do crack. That's one on its own, and we got the other one that is, okay, I'm sorry. So the one that's on the bottom runs here to the right up to the reservoir, and then runs around the backside over here to the water pump. Right there. You can kind of see the clamp right there. That's got a little clip that holds it back here, and there's a clip that holds it right there. And that snaps on the back, and then you have this top line that just runs over here. Look over. Runs here, kind of down into that same little clamp that holds the one that goes to the reservoir, and right up here to the back of the outlet T. Right, oh, get out of the way. Right there. Okay, so obviously I can't really tuck this in here too much, so I'm going to first show you the part numbers. I'm going to set you up and just run through it as I do it. Okay, so here's the part number for the long squiggly, the bottom one, the return hose, I guess is what it is. There's that part number there, as you can see. And these, to get them off, they just have this little clamp. You just put a little pick or a screwdriver underneath it, pull it down, and it should pop out. That, and then the upper hose, the feed hose, is this one, heater hose, because it didn't have the GM hose in stock. Again, Rock Auto. All right, I will get this camera kind of set up and just kind of do my best to start popping these things off. And take out the charge pipe just to get a little more room on this side. Coolant reservoir broke. Let me get another one of those coming. Okay, I have a new reservoir coming as well to be picked up. And hey GM, I hope you get a bunch of plastic dildos rammed up your ass for using all these plastic parts that just break non-stop. Anyways, back to work. That just pops right off, so that's not bad. But I haven't pulled this off before, but there is a little, oh, here I am. There's a little notch right there, and there's an indent on the actual heater core. So you know you have it lined up. When you push it down and it kind of locks in, you can't rotate anymore. That's how I tell it's lined up. That's on there. There's the part number for the reservoir. Just slides in there and locks on. I can't tell if you can see anything. Honestly, I don't know, and I don't care at this moment. This has a T right here. Kind of goes down in. You push up against the battery, push it down, slide it over, and then this locks, and then there's a metal clamp that goes over this, holds it in. There's a clamp. Slide down the other side. Oh, you should say, much like the the radiator hoses on this car that I already swapped out, the inside of these were torn, falling apart as well. Okay, that's how you change out those hoses. It's far more frustrating in this video because I'm adding this on to doing everything else and shit's breaking. So if I come across a little rash in this video, that's fucking life. All right, so anyways, that's how you change out those two heater lines. If you're changing out other lines, just change every damn line at once. If you're changing the lines to turbo, change the oil cooler, change all your coolant lines, change everything at one goddamn time so you can just move on with your life. Because this is just non-stop, never ending, okay? All right, guys, that'll do it for today. Like, comment, subscribe. Hope you guys have, I don't know when this video is coming out. Hope you guys had Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever other holiday is celebrated around this time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Spent time with family or by yourself, because sometimes family can suck. Up to you. All right, guys. I will see you guys next time. Ow. All right, guys. For today's video, we're going to replace the oil feed line on the Cruze, the 1.4 liter EcoSuck engine, where everything just kind of keeps breaking. Here's the one we're using, Dorman. There's your part number. Got it from Rock Auto. As always, it's cheaper. If you get the Dorman line from like O'Reilly's or something, they have a lifetime warranty, but it's also about 2.5, 3 times as expensive as just getting it from Rock Auto. So do what you want. First and foremost, the oil feed line is right here. If you still have the shield, the exhaust shield on your car, I haven't been running it lately just because I want to be able to see stuff since I've had this off so many times throughout the past couple of years. But if it's still on here, you would have an E10 bolt here, here, and right down here on the front. And you pick the shield up and just wiggle it out of the way, okay? Here's the other end of the oil feed line where it ties into the turbo. That's right there is where it ties into the oil cooler, okay? You have an E10 bolt on this side. Where it ties into the turbo, depending on which version you get, like which manufacturer, you may have an E socket bolt like this, like on the new one, the Dorman one, okay? Or it may be an Allen head. This one right here that I'm replacing is an Allen head. It's going to be replaced with the Torx head one. And the reason I'm replacing it, if we looked at right down here, you can see, all right, the oil there. I'm assuming you can hear me talk, but you see the oil right there leaking? It's leaking out past the gaskets. The failure here is probably not so much the gaskets themselves, or like on their own, is probably the fact that I had put this on here and then I had to remove everything again to replace the oil cooler, and I just tried to reuse those same gaskets, and that was probably my mistake. In theory, I could just replace these gaskets here, but I was having kind of difficulty finding the gaskets themselves to replace it. And in theory, for doing just that, you would just loosen this up, pull the bolt out of the way, do the gasket on the bottom and gasket on top, put the bolt back through and tighten it up. But in practice, this line, the way it's kind of formed and kinked like this, it doesn't line up truly. So like this end right here would be pushing this over this way, so trying to get the thread started on here would be a little bit difficult. So you'd end up pretty much, to do it correctly, you'd want to remove this end at the same time. So if this is coming out, I figure I might as well just replace the line itself. So yeah, that is the backstory. Let me get the camera set up and we'll run through it really quick. I really need to get a new tripod. This is ridiculous, trying to get this thing to not fall over. First and foremost, we'll take out this E10 bolt out of the oil cooler.
Make sure you don't lose this bolt. We need it. Obviously, you're going to reuse that. Set that aside. Cars. Okay. Now just break through or remove the bolt that's on top of the turbo itself. This bolt, for this circumstance, is an H10. Okay, probably gonna get a little bit of spillage. The car has been sitting a few days, so there should be a little less oil in here than if you're just drove it. Okay. Slide it out to the oil filter side. There, old line right there. See, a little oil, so just make sure you got a rad clean up. I'll take the new line. Let's get the package open. And I'll tell you real quick before we even slide this in what it is. I believe it's 45. This bolt for the Dorman one is actually a T47. Okay. So now slide it through. Oh yeah, real quick. The original Chevy ones designs only came with one O-ring here, and they're very prone to leaking. So make sure whatever one you get replacement wise, it has at least a double O-ring on the oil cooler end. Slide this back through. Lightly get this finger started. Okay. Then if you look right here, you should be able to see, I got like a little thing popped out there, but you see how far away this line is from actually popping into there. This is why you can't really just kind of slide it over. Actually, loosen it up a little bit more. Pop that in there. Jiggle it on this end. I know my boat. I want to get the very lightly started. There we go. If you start this side down too much, you won't be able to bend it over enough. And if you try and start from the other end, you won't be able to get this one started at all, like I was saying earlier. So got the turbo side in there, just kind of snug down. Run this one down. The bolt back into the oil cooler. Now this is imperative that you follow the Torx specs for this car, because if you don't tighten this side down enough, it will leak. If you over tighten this side, you'll strip it out, okay, and it will leak. All right, so oil cooler side, 6 foot-pounds, but there's not really a torque wrench in foot-pounds that goes down that low, so you would do 71 inch-pounds. Got that? Inch-pounds. This side that goes into turbo is 22 foot-pounds, which you can do with a normal 3/8 drive torque wrench. So first and foremost, we will do the oil cooler side. Just gotta get my E10 back. Okay. That, set it to 71 inch-pounds. Okay, so if you look right there, it's at 71 inch-pounds. Got it? It takes virtually no pressure in that. Pretty much everything on this car where a bolt goes into anything aluminum, including the heads and all that stuff, it's usually about 71 inch-pounds, okay? And I'll run this back down. All right, now we'll go over to the other side. And for this, we need the larger torque wrench. Uh-oh. Like I was saying, I need a new tripod is broken. Okay, and we'll set this one to 22 foot-pounds. Try and do this through the camera. All right, there's 20, right? Okay. 2. Okay. Okay. All right. There you go. That's how you replace the turbo oil feed line. It is one of the easier jobs to do on this engine. If you wanted to put the heat shield back on, you just slide that back in there, put the E10 bolts back in, and just kind of snug it up by hand with a ratchet, and you'll be good to go. That's that. Again, that's the part number I used for it. And that is that, guys. All right, quick, easy video for you today. If you have any questions, just let me know. And like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. And I'll see you next time.